So after I moved back to town, Norvel and I started going on a monthly pub crawl. We'd only go to 3 taverns at night. And we came up with a rating system for the working man type bars that we just really loved. We'd both run like hell at the first sign of brass and ferns. Norvel always ordered white Zen with ice cubes. Not exactly in the Boilermaker class of working man drinks. And so we had a rating system on all these bars. We were actually thinking of doing a book or an e-book on our favorite working class bars in Spokane. If it looked like a working man bar from the outside, that was worth points. If it looked like a working man type bar from the inside, that was worth points too. A couple of times we got fooled. And if the bartender asked for your order and says, "What'll it be, honey?" That's 5 points right there. And when she served you and said, "There you go, darling," that's another 5 points. And the jukebox was all important. Hank Williams, Patsy Cline, classic country, early rock and roll, lots of points. Prince, Boy George, the Go-Go's, we're good. If we could find a quiet corner and talk and take some pictures of the tavern crowd, points. And we always took pictures. Norvel always had his camera with him. You know? And so, the night of the blind dog incident, we started at the Checkerboard Tavern, which is out on East Sprague. It's one of the 2 oldest taverns in the state of Washington. And the oldest, I think it's either the Brick and Rosin or the Checkerboard there. And we'd been before to the Checkerboard, and I'd actually done a feature on the Checkerboard way back in 1987 for KPBX. There was a guy who owned it named Irish Joe Heaton. And it's kind of in a bad part of town, almost like a blues juke joint. But this time it was different. I have pictures of us when we were there that night, and for some reason, Norvel took several pictures of this big cutout they had of John Wayne. And of course, John Wayne was known for being a tough-talking, brash, macho type guy. And we were just sitting there, and I turned to Norvel, and I looked at him, and I could tell that something had changed, and just the music in him had changed. When Norvel was a little baby, sitting on his daddy's knee, picked up a camera now and a little piece of film, and he said, "This camera gonna be a lot of fun for me." So then we headed out further on Sprague to one of our other favorite taverns. There's a tavern called the Sage Tavern, way out there. And the Sage was a big place. We always sat on the side where the bar was, because that's where the interesting people were. It was a real working man neighborhood tavern. And if you sat there long enough, different people, vendors, would just walk through, sell you stuff. There's an old lady that used to come through and sell flowers. But we always looked for the guy who had this big wooden briefcase. And when he opened it up and sat down at your table, he sold a variety of knives, from cutlery to switchblades. If you wanted to buy a sword, you had to go out in the parking lot to his truck. It was our type of place. But there is something different about that night, and looking at our pictures, I see that they had a big handwritten sign that said, "Beer now cheaper than gas. Drink, don't drive." Thinking back now, that might have been a trigger. So I looked over at Norvel, and there was something definitely going on. So I knew we had to get Norvel out of there. And we headed back to his apartment, but along the way he insisted we stop at this little downtown town we'd never stopped at before. And so we get in there, Norvel starts seeing things. He's saying, "There's ladies outside on the street selling jelly." "No, but there's no people out there. You know you're not." And standing up, and he's banging on the windows and all this. And I tried to grab him, and as soon as I looked at him again, I could see that something had taken him over. And he sounded like this. So I got home, and I thought he was safe. But the next morning I got a phone call from Vern Wyndham. And he was saying, "Was Norvel out with you last night?" It turns out Norvel had gone back to the Sage Tavern or some other tavern and went on a rampage like a crazed bluesman, which was completely opposed to his gentle Norvel. So anyhow, in researching this incident, I found there'd been an old bluesman named Blind Dog Trosst, who was born in Tunica, Mississippi, and grew up playing harmonica in the brothels there. 1927, Blind Dog, accompanied by Klein Lemon Jefferson and another unidentified blues musician, rumored to have been Blind Taste Test, recorded an infamous party record, Paramount 12983B. This became a hit record and sold over 250,000 copies in 1928. After disappearing for over 30 years, Blind Dog was rediscovered working as a janitor in Cleveland, Ohio by the blues researcher Alan Lomax. He was still an excellent harp player and was signed immediately by Chess Records to record a reissue of his 1928 record, which he recorded with a Blind Dog band. We've got a picture of the Blind Dog band over there. And however, the record sold poorly and Blind Dog disappeared forever. Cult photographer Adrian Telford, the Telford Chronicles, was a known pre-war blues collector and has immortalized Blind Dog in one of his digitally enhanced photographs, The Blues Life, from one he found in an old chest. In 1997, learning of the legend of Blind Dog Trosst and his party record, the Mogan David Wine Company bought all rights to the recording and recreated a special commemorative special edition wine, Blind Dog 2020, which has become one of their best sellers. It was known that many of the early country blues performers traveled extensively across America, following the harvest cruise as far as Washington and Oregon. One of the many taverns that used to be on East Sprague back in the 30s, a couple of them were known as juke joints, which were frequented by traveling musicians, possibly Blind Dog Trosst. So what appears to have happened on that night was the clashing of two parallel universes. The press release cover story read, "A mild-mannered public radio producer, Norvel Trosst, host of Sound Space and known for his love of photography, attributed his recent rampage as the channeling of a 1920s blues recording artist and notorious hellraiser, Blind Dog Trosst, early Paramount record recording artist and blues harp playing accompanist of Blind Dog Lemon Jefferson."